Welcome back to San IT Tips. If you're a KTUB Tech student preparing for your exams, this video is for you. Question number 1. Differentiate between system software and application software. System software is designed to manage system resources like memory allocation, processor time, input-output operations, etc., and provide a platform for other software to run on. Application software, on the other hand, is designed to help users perform specific tasks or applications such as word processing, image editing, or browsing the web. System software acts as an intermediary between the hardware and the user, usually with minimal direct interaction. In contrast, application software provides a user-friendly interface for direct interaction to complete tasks. Examples of system software include operating systems, device drivers, compilers, assemblers, and utilities. Examples of application software are Microsoft Word, Adobe Photoshop, Google Chrome, and video games. System software operates closely with the computer's hardware and has a deep understanding of its specifications. Application software is typically designed to work on top of an operating system, regardless of the specific computer hardware. System software development is complex, requiring knowledge of low-level programming languages and the inner workings of computer architecture. Application software can be developed using higher-level programming languages, and the complexity of development varies based on the application's purpose. System software is essential for a computer system to even operate at a basic level. While not essential for a computer to function, application software adds features and improves the user's experience. Question number 2. Differentiate between compiler and interpreter. A compiler translates the entire program from a high-level language into machine code before execution begins. An interpreter translates and executes code line by line or statement by statement. Compiled code generally executes faster since the translation is done beforehand, and the result is optimized machine code. Interpreted code might run slower because the translation happens during execution. A compiler reports all errors together after the entire translation process is complete, whereas an interpreter reports errors as they are encountered during the line-by-line translation. Debugging with a compiler can be more challenging because errors are reported after the whole program is compiled. In contrast, debugging with an interpreter is often considered easier since the process is more step-by-step. The machine code produced by a compiler is specific to a type of computer and needs recompiling for different systems. Interpreted code can be more portable as long as the interpreter itself is available on the target machine. Compilers are used for languages like C, C++, Rust, and Swift, while interpreters are used for languages like Python, JavaScript, and Ruby. Question number 3. What is the importance of precedence and associativity? Write the table for operator precedence. Precedence determines which operators are evaluated first when multiple operators appear in an expression. Operators with higher precedence are evaluated before operators with lower precedence. Associativity determines the order in which operators of the same precedence are evaluated within an expression. There are two types of associativity. Left-to-right associativity. Operators are evaluated from left to right. Right-to-left associativity. Operators are evaluated from right to left. Let's consider the expression, result is equal to 5 plus 3 asterisk 2. Due to operator precedence, the multiplication is evaluated before the addition. Therefore, the result will be 5 plus the result of 3 times 2. That's 5 plus 6, which is equal to 11. Now, let's look at another example. Result is equal to 10 minus 3 plus 2. Since subtraction and addition have the same precedence, associativity comes into play. Associativity of subtraction and addition is from left to right. Therefore, we first calculate 10 minus 3, which gives us 7. Then, we add 2, resulting in 9. This table gives us a general overview of operator precedence in C, organized from highest to lowest. At the top of the precedence hierarchy are the parentheses, which are used for grouping expressions. These are followed by array subscripts and member access operators. Next in line are the postfix operators, such as the increment and decrement operators when they come after a variable. Following these are the prefix operators, other unary operators, typecasts, and the sizeof operator, which are evaluated next. As we move further down the table, we find the multiplication, division, and modulo operations. Right after these are the addition and subtraction operators, followed by the bitwise shift operators. Then come the comparison and equality operators, followed by the bitwise and XOR and OR operators. The logical and OR operators come next. Near the bottom are the ternary conditional operator and the assignment operators, and finally, at the very bottom, we have the comma operator. Question number 4. Differentiate between break and continue statements. The break statement immediately terminates the innermost loop or switch statement where it is placed. The continue statement skips the remaining code in the current loop iteration and jumps to the beginning of the next iteration. Upon invoking break statement transfers control to the statement immediately after the loop. With continue, control moves to the start of the next iteration of the loop. Using break indeed causes the loop to end prematurely. When using continue, the loop itself doesn't end but current iteration is skipped. The break statement is used within loops and switch statements. The continue statement is used exclusively within loop constructs. First, let's look at an example of the break statement. We have a for loop set to execute 10 times, iterating from 1 to 10. But if I equals 5 becomes true, the break statement is triggered, which immediately terminates the loop. As a result, the loop doesn't complete its intended 10 iterations. Instead, it stops after the 4th iteration. So, the printf inside the loop will only print the numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4. After the break, control is transferred to the statement that follows the loop, which in this case prints loop terminated early. The output of this code is 1, 2, 3, 4, followed by message loop terminated early. Now, let's examine the continue statement example. In this loop, when I equals 5, the continue statement is executed. This doesn't end the loop, instead, it skips the rest of the loop's current iteration and immediately proceeds with the next iteration. That's why the printf statement inside the loop doesn't print the number 5, it skipped over. The loop then continues normally, printing the numbers 6 through 10. The final output here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Followed by the message number 5 was skipped. Question number 5. Explain any 3 string handling functions using examples. strlen. This function calculates the length of a string, excluding the null terminator. In the example given, name is initialized with the string Sarah. strlen of name would return 5, as there are 5 characters in Sarah. strcpy. This function is used to copy a string from the source to the destination, including the null terminator. In the example strcpy, str2, str1, since str1 contains the string summer, after the operation, str2 will also contain summer. strcat. This function concatenates or appends a source string to the end of a destination string. If phrase 1 is, the weather is, and phrase 2 is, nice, after strcat, phrase 1, phrase 2, Phrase 1 would contain, "The weather is nice." Question number 6. Write a C program to find the occurrence of each element in an array. Let us write the program. Hash include stdio.h to include the library files necessary to perform the input-output operations. Main function where the execution of the program begins. ARR is declared as an integer array and initializes it with a predefined set of numbers, then calculates the number of elements in the array by dividing the total size of the array by the size of its first element and store it in the variable n. After that declares another array visited which will keep track of which elements have been already counted. The for loop initializes all elements in the visited array to -1, indicating that no elements have been visited yet. The outer loop goes through each element in ARR. The condition if visited of I is equal to -1 checks if the current element ARR of I has not been processed before. Initializes a count for the current element. It starts at 1 because every element occurs at least once. The inner for loop checks for other occurrences of ARR of I. If ARR of I is equal to ARR of j, a duplicate is found, then increment the count and mark the duplicate as visited. Change visited of j is equal to 0. After counting, the occurrence of the current element is printed outside the inner for loop. Return 0 signifies the successful end of the program. Question number 7. Define formal parameters and actual parameters. Illustrate with an example. Formal parameters, also known as formal arguments, are the variables defined in the function's header or declaration. They act as placeholders for the values to be passed into the function. Actual parameters, also known as actual arguments, are the values or variables passed to the function when it is called. They provide the specific input data for the function to operate on. Actual and formal parameters should match in number and order with the formal parameters defined in the function's declaration. The actual values are plugged in to the corresponding formal parameters during the function call process. Let us now illustrate the formal and actual parameter with example. In the function declaration int add, enter int b, a and b are formal parameters. In the function call add, num1, num2, num1 and num2 are actual parameters. The add function takes two integers as input and returns their sum. When the add function is called from main, the values of num1 and num2 are passed to the function. Inside the function, these values are referred to with the formal parameter names a and b, and the operation a plus b is performed. The result of this operation is then returned to the place where the function was called, and it is stored in the variable result in the main function. Finally, this result is printed out. Question number 8. With examples show how 1. An array is passed as argument of a function, and 2. Individual elements of an array is passed as argument of a function. Let us see the answer for the first question passing an entire array. When you pass an array to a function, what is actually passed is a reference to the array, meaning the memory address of the array's first element is passed. The function can then access all elements of the array. When declaring a function that takes an array as an argument, you can use two different syntaxes. The formal parameter can be written using either array notation or with pointer notation. Both declarations are used to pass an array to a function. Let us see an example. The function prints the elements of an array. It takes two arguments, a pointer to an array and an integer variable that holds the size of the array. Inside the function, there's a loop that goes through the array from the first to the last element, printing each one. In the main function, an array is created, its size is calculated, and then the print function is called to display the array elements. When passing the array to the function, only the name of the array is used, which refers to the memory address of the array's first element. Let us see the second answer. Passing individual elements. When you pass individual elements of an array as arguments to a function in C, you are passing them by value. This means that the function receives a copy of the element's value, not a reference to the element itself. The syntax is same as normal function declaration. The type of formal argument should be same as the type of actual argument. Let us see the example. In this program, the print_element function is defined to take a single integer as its parameter. The main function initializes an array called numbers. Using a loop, main then passes each element of the array to the print_element function one at a time. Inside print_element, the integer argument number is a copy of the array element passed in, and it's used just for printing. In summary, individual array elements are passed to a function like any other variable. The function receives a copy, and the original array remains unchanged. Question number 9. Write any three file handling functions in C. fopen. This function is used to open a file. It requires two parameters, the file path and the mode in which the file should be opened, example read, write, append. It returns a pointer to the file structure, which is used for further operations on the file. In this example, the fopen function opens the file text.txt in read mode. fprintf. This function is used to write a formatted string to a file. The function takes a file pointer, a format string, and a list of arguments, that is, variables or expressions, whose values are inserted into the formatted string. In this example, the fprintf function writes the value of the variable num to the file in a formatted way. fclose. This function is used to close an open file. It takes a pointer to a file structure, which was returned by fopen, and closes the file associated with it. In this example, the fclose function closes the file associated with the file pointer fp. Question number 10. Differentiate between address operator and indirection operator. Address operator is used to obtain the memory address of a variable. When placed before a variable, it gives the address where the variable is stored in memory. In the given examples, x is an integer variable with a value of 10. Using the address operator, we take the address of x and store it in a pointer ptr. The indirection operator is used to access the value at a specified memory address, which is often called dereferencing a pointer. When placed before a pointer, it accesses the value that the pointer is pointing to. In this example, we use the indirection operator to dereference ptr to access the value stored at the memory address to which it points. This value is then assigned to another integer variable, y. Since ptr points to x, and the value of x is 10, y will also be assigned the value 10. We have concluded the solutions for part 1 of the question paper. Please join us for part 2 in the next video. Thank you for watching the video.